morning, everybody. Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and thank you for joining us for another episode of our Garden Shed build series. Today we are starting on metal roofing. We are going to work on eave trim, valley trim, and potentially even start getting some of the metal roofing panels installed on the portions of the roof that go from the ridge all the way down to the eave. One of the reasons we can't keep working and just get a whole side done is I have some offset cleat or metal trim pieces that I need, and we ordered those and we're still waiting for the call from the manufacturer that they're ready to go get picked up. As you saw in our last video, we danced between the rain showers and got all of our roofing felt or synthetic underlayment installed. As I said, this stuff is rated for underneath metal roofing. Just be sure you've got something that is rated for metal roofing. Don't get just shingles or composition shingle underlayment only. If you're in an area where it gets hot and sunny, it will bake and deteriorate your underlayment if it's not rated for the kinds of temperatures that could potentially be achieved under a metal roof. This is our eave trim profile. Got some water on it. It will basically, this is a piece of our fascia. It's going to basically sit on our fascia like this, in this profile. As you can see, we want this vertical leg right here to be up against our fascia, which is plumb, and then we want this top plane to run up our roof plane, which would be a 45 degree. As I said, they can only do like a 312, 412 type pitch here on their metal, so I need to take this upper chunk here and bend it so that we can get a 45 degree roof pitch like that. Because the back side of our shed is 16 feet long from edge to edge or side to side on the eave, I want to join two pieces of this eave trim together. Now, I could always just butt them together and have them just end to end, or I am going to do what we refer to as telescope cut one piece so that I can overlap them about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. That way, when they actually join together, I can put a few pop rivets in through the face. I've got color match pop rivets, and that will help join them together on the eave side. I've got to make a relief cut, basically make it smaller so it fits underneath the other piece of trim without making it get thicker than it already is or stick out of plane too much. So I'm just simply going to measure 2 inches in, I'm going to mark it with my pencil, and then I'm going to do some relief cuts with the snips. I'm going to cut a little bit off this bottom lip. This is a hemmed end, so it actually gets twice as thick right there. As you can see, they've rolled the metal back and created a 180 degree hem. So I'm going to cut that edge where it's the full 180 degree bend, and then I'll clip a little chunk off on the back side. That way, when we're sliding it into the opposite hem of the other piece of metal, it'll only have one layer of metal trying to slip inside the hem of the previous piece. Cutting up to my 2-inch mark. We're fairly close to it. Get that piece off of there. Flip it over. Alright, now it's a bit deformed just because of the snips, so I'm going to go ahead and put these flat seamers on here and just flatten it out a little bit here. So that's all going to be covered. Hit them one more time, just get them a little bit flatter. Now if I want to make them fit together a little bit easier and not fight it quite as much, I can always cut a little bit of a taper there. Same thing with this upper piece. The only thing is I'm just going to cut the edge off. I'm not going to try and cut the bottom off. Coming up to that 2-inch mark, just pull the piece of metal off. Now as you can see on the piece that we're going to, it's very tight. I have to fit the other piece in between this area here. So I'm gonna kind of pull it open. I'm also going to use a 5-in-1. These painting tools are really nice because you can actually get the point in there and kind of pry open, get the point up inside of a hem if you need to, or a tight area, and you can get into where you need to be and kind of open it up a little bit more. Now, as I said previously, always wear gloves. Even when you wear gloves, you can still cut yourself. These thin little ribbons here, they get needle sharp barbs on the end of them, and they'll go through leather gloves even. It's just how it works, unfortunately. But try and be as safe as you can. Wear gloves. Wear something that's a little bit cut resistant if at all possible. Leather's pretty good. They do have these kind of nitrile or rubber palm gloves with different cut resistance ratings. Do yourself a favor and try and prevent those cuts. I cut across 3 fingers on the last roof install job. I cut this finger pretty good, kind of poked here and then slit my pinky tip. And this is the only finger that I realized I cut right off the bat until all this stuff started bleeding. So it's tough when you're doing metal roofs. You're probably going to get cut. Just be careful. So we got our 10-foot stick on the back of this shed already. This is a piece that I cut the telescope notches out of. So we've got our measurement for the remainder of the eave trim. I'm going to measure from where my telescope notch ended. So I've got 2 inches beyond what I'm going to measure. So I need 71 3/4 inches. Get a mark. I'm actually going to cut it from the back side. So we've got 2 pairs of cutters that we'll typically use. We'll use our green right hand, and it has a little R for right hand.
Can you put it in your right hand then? Please? Thank you.
I'm not going to use them in my right hand because I'm left-handed, so I'm a normal person.
So super confusing.
So the green are right, and the Milwaukees actually have a little right on there. The reds are lefts, and they have a little L. Now, why I'm going to choose to use the rights on this particular cut is that I'm cutting from the back side, and this is the piece or side that I want to save. This is the piece that's the offcut. If I use the lefts, the jaw on the bottom is on the save side, and it will mar up the finished surface. If I use the rights,
or completely mush it around.
Yeah, if I use the rights, the jaw on the bottom will be on our offcut, and any surface marring to the finished side will be on the offcut side.
Can I mention something in addition to that? So if you use the green handled ones, because I don't like calling them left and right because that just confuses me because I'm right-handed. The side that's going to roll up or bend away from the cut is on the right side if you use the green handled ones.
So it would be on this side, the jaw on the bottom would be pushing up and rolling it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's how I think of it. So if the description that you used didn't work, that one might work.
Okay.
So green ones roll up the right side,
okay.
Red ones roll up the left side.
All right. So I'm going to start cutting from this direction with the rights. I'm just going to follow my pencil line. I'm going to cut up tight. Now if I turn it around to cut this side, now my jaw on the underside is on the finished side. So I'm going to switch from the rights, or the greens, to the left, so that as I cut down, my backside jaw, which is touching the finished side, is on the waist side.
Yeah, so when you flip them over, now they're kind of like upside down and they're still going to push away the right side.
Correct.
It's really weird to describe this.
It's really weird to try and cut with a camera in between you and your face and the workpiece.
And if none of this makes sense to you,
just do a bunch of it.
Just cut with one and discover that it's making an absolute disaster out of your metal, and switch around.
Okay. If you want to swing around, we'll show the final cut.
Okay.
And this is the final cut. I'm just going to eyeball it because now I have a fairly good straight reference line to eyeball from. I'm still using the red or the left cuts. I'm just going to cut in.
Through 2 layers there because of the drip edge.
So now I'm just going to wiggle them a little bit and snap that last little part. So I'm going to go through. I'm just going to start squeezing it. That looks pretty close, so we'll take it, hold it up in place, see if we're good, and if we need to adjust it, either open or close, we'll do that. I'm going to line up the telescope cuts. I'm actually going on the back side of the first piece we installed.
And the telescope part is just where you lap one inside the other.
Yep. Stay.
How was it? It looked, from my perspective, it looked really close.
Looks pretty good.
Cool.
All right. Up here is where we did our joint, and it looks pretty good just sitting there loose. I overbent this so that I could fit the metal in at the telescope cut. I'm going to use the seamers to close this up and make it a little bit tighter before we secure it down. I'm also going to do it on this hem down at the bottom. That looks pretty good. I'm going to look here on the underside, make sure we didn't overbend or underbend this flange, because our goal is to keep bugs from getting up under there and making wasp nests and things like that mainly. I'm going to go ahead and install a pop rivet through this joint here, the telescope joint. I like using a I like using the 1/8 inch hex, 1/8 inch diameter bits with a hex shank. That way I can use the impact driver instead of having to have a drill also to pre-drill my holes. Like I said, we have color matched. We have color matched pop rivets. Punch that in to the sheet metal. And this will actually act as a fastener to the wood fascia too, because it's drilled down in there deep enough to go into the wood.